I remember the humming, low, mechanical, persistent, as it echoed through the steel bones of the auction chamber. Light pulsed overhead, cyan and cold, exposing bruises I didn't realize were mine. The scent of ozone and scorched alloy clung to my skin. Each breath tasted of metal and despair. My name, forgotten. The identity given to me by Vornik, my bond-severed tormentor, had been erased along with the last flicker of freedom. He didn't call me by a name, just a serial, XR9894. That's what I was to him, a possession, a tool, a thing to be traded. He found joy in cruelty, his eyes always gleaming when he twisted knobs that controlled the neural mesh embedded in my spine. "You're only useful when you're obedient," he would hiss, tightening the current until I blacked out. I lost count of the times I woke in different sectors, naked, branded, sedated, shipped like livestock across systems. Then came the day he sold me. Not for credits, not even for favor. He handed me over to a dealer on Icaron for access codes, classified data from the Helion Accords. He didn't even look back, not once. That was the first time I wanted to die. But fate plays strange games with broken things. The merchant who acquired me, no better than Vornik, dragged me into a transport unit crawling with sedated prisoners. Most were silent, eyes glassy, hope long extinct. One girl, barely 12, clutched, a toy drone with scorched wings. I remember because she tried to smile at me, and something inside me cracked. They took us to Rothan's Maw, a mining penal colony wrapped in storm clouds and acid rain. There, they implanted us with compliance fangs, tiny AI-driven parasites. One wrong thought and you'd forget your own name for days. Some never came back. I worked underground, shoveling cobalt plasma with hands blistered raw, heart numbed to pain. Weeks blurred, then months. I had no sense of time, just the endless clang of machinery and the ever-present sting of punishment. But that's when he appeared. I didn't know his name. Not at first. He was part of an off-world recovery squad sent under the guise of routine calibration. His uniform wasn't corporate, not military either. He looked out of place, clean, with eyes like storm-split oceans. Calculated, controlled. While the others barked orders, he watched. When I collapsed near the geothermal vent, face smeared in soot, he caught me. Literally. Lifted me like I weighed nothing and carried me out of the pit. My mind screamed warnings. This was a trap, another game, but he just said one thing. "Do you remember your real name?" I blinked. No one had ever asked me that. Not since before. I don't. His expression didn't change. He simply nodded, laid me down, and left. The others mocked me for days, called me pet and rescue doll. But I felt something shift inside, like a spark catching on a frozen matchstick. I watched him from then on. He moved like someone used to command, precise, silent, never wasting a breath. When guards weren't looking, he disabled the surveillance nodes, one by one. I saw him plant data cubes into the control rails. No one else noticed. But I did, and then came the breach. Rothan's Maw went dark for 78 seconds. Just enough time. Explosions rippled through the mine shafts, sirens screamed, drones dropped like flies. Amid the chaos, he returned. For me. "You don't belong here," he said, gripping my wrist. "You never did." My vision blurred, but I ran. With him, through tunnels lit by fire and rage. We ducked through blast doors, crawled beneath drone nests, and emerged onto a tarmac swarming with mercenaries. He spoke into a wrist console in a language I'd never heard. Seconds later, a ship shimmered into view, cloaked, elegant, humming with energy I couldn't name. It opened for him. He turned to me. "If you come with me, there's no going back." I should have hesitated. I didn't. Inside, the ship was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Walls flowed with bioluminescent threads. It responded to his voice like it was alive. The moment we lifted off, I felt weightless. Not from lack of gravity, but from the sudden release of a lifetime of agony. In orbit, he removed the parasite from my neck. No sedation. No pain. He used a tool that vibrated with impossible frequencies, coaxing the AI fang out like a mother pulling a splinter from a child. "You can sleep now," he whispered. I did. For the first time in years. I woke to warmth. Not synthetic, not forced. Real, ambient warmth. The kind that seeps through your bones and whispers you're not in danger anymore. For a moment I believed I was dead. But then the ceiling shimmered. Pearlescent waves dancing across a curved canopy, and I realized I was in his vessel. His voice came before I saw him. "You slept for 32 cycles. Your body needed repair. We let it guide the pace." He stood at a control arch, palms against a living interface, fluid. Glass flowing like ink under his touch. His armor was gone. He wore a fiber-weave tunic, simple but laced with neural lattice work. And his name, at last, found me. Thalen. He never said it aloud. But the ship spoke it when he entered a command. Command acknowledgement. Thalen. The E name stuck to my mind like starlight on frost. I sat up slowly. My limbs felt strange, like they remembered being broken and couldn't believe they weren't anymore. Nanite mesh clung to my scars, knitting new skin like an artist restoring ancient. "Frescoes, what are you?" I asked, voice rasped from disuse. He turned, his gaze steady. "A mistake. One I've been trying to correct." I didn't know what that meant. Not then. But something in his tone told me he carried regrets heavier than planets. He handed me a cloak, midnight blue with iridescent threading, and helped me walk. The ship, Neravia, responded to him like a trusted companion. Lights shifted with his mood, walls unfolded into corridors. And still, no chains, no collars, no commands. Freedom. It felt terrifying. He took me to the observation deck, where stars bled across the void like ancient fire. Galaxies turned lazily in the distance. Beneath our feet, a planet bloomed with lush color. Not listed on any trade maps. Uncharted. Hidden. "I used to belong to the Coalition," he said softly, watching the world below. "Advanced recon. Civil liberation." What happened? He didn't flinch. I followed orders. Until one mission. I realized the people we were liberating weren't being freed. They were being harvested, traded, like you were. A cold knot twisted in my stomach. I refused, he continued. Defected. Stole this vessel. She's bonded to my DNA. Only she and I know the coordinates of the sanctuary worlds. "Is that where we are?" He nodded. "One of them. This one's called Taravalux." He let me stay there as long as I needed, watching the clouds ripple beneath a twin-sun sky. No rush, no expectations, just silence and safety. That night, I dreamed of fireflies and open fields. I hadn't had a dream in years. Days passed. Maybe weeks. On Taravalux, he built a garden, by hand. No drones, no synthetic accelerators. He said soil remembered touch, that roots grew stronger when they met resistance. I watched him place each seed like a promise. He never asked me to help. But one morning I knelt beside him and pressed my hands into the dirt. "Do you know your name yet?" he asked gently. I paused. Images flickered. A girl laughing in the rain. A woman defying a soldier. A name buried under ash. Seren. I hadn't spoken it aloud in over a decade. It tasted like rebirth. He smiled, soft and honest. "Seren suits you. Thalen taught me how to fly the Neravia, how to access encrypted archives, how to think like a survivor instead of a prisoner." He never touched me without asking, never raised his voice, never doubted that I would learn, given time. One night, I asked him why. "Why did you save me, out of everyone?" He looked at the stars for a long time before answering. "Because you were still fighting." I frowned. "I wasn't." "Yes, you were." Even when your body gave out, your eyes didn't. I looked away, heart pounding. No one had ever seen me like that. Not as an asset, not as cargo, as someone, as a woman. But peace never lasts. The day the pulse beacon activated, we were returning from a high-orbit field scan. Nerevia's sensors caught the surge immediately, an encrypted burst carrying coalition signatures. Thalen's jaw tightened. They found us. How? He didn't answer. Just pushed the engines into overdrive. Within hours, 3 vessels emerged from Slipstream. Not coalition-marked, black market interceptors, rogue factions using coalition tech. They're slavers, Thalen growled. They're hunting survivors. He handed me a weapon, sleek, magnetized, coded to my biosignature. I held it with trembling fingers. I don't want to be taken again, I whispered. You won't be. His voice was iron. I'll burn them first. The battle was fast and brutal. Thalen moved like a shadow, calculating, relentless. Nerevia responded to his fury, deploying mines and countermeasures like an extension of his will. But there were too many. One ship pierced the hull. I fought, gods I fought, but one of them struck me with a phase lash. I hit the deck, disoriented, ears ringing, and then I heard it. Thalen, roaring my name like it was the only word left in the universe. He stormed through the fire, dragging me behind cover, shielding me with his own body. Blood ran from a gash on his temple, but his grip never faltered. You promised, I gasped. You said I'd never be taken again. I don't break promises. He activated a failsafe, an experimental pulse that fractured all nearby ships into temporal limbo. Time around us slowed to a crawl. Nerevia burned, but we lived. Barely. The next morning I woke in the med chamber. Thalen lay beside me, unconscious, body wired to healing circuits. I reached for his hand. His fingers twitched. Nerevia? I whispered. The ship's voice responded, soft, almost maternal. Systems damaged. Regeneration in progress. Priority, protect Seren. Tears stung my eyes. He had risked everything. For me, I stayed by his side for hours, maybe days. Time lost meaning again. When he finally woke, his first words were, "Are you all right?" I laughed, sobbed, hit his chest. You almost died. He smiled weakly, but I didn't. I leaned down, resting my forehead against his. Why do you keep saving me? Because you're the only thing I've done right. We left Tiravelux. Behind, we knew now, we were being hunted. My past wasn't just mine anymore. Vornik had put a price on my head, not for love, not for vengeance, for silence. I had once been part of a bloodline that carried something ancient, something that scared powerful men. Thalen found the file in a vault buried under Coalition ruins. My DNA held encryption keys from a civilization erased before the Galactic Union even formed, the ones who came before, the Veirenth. It wasn't just about cruelty anymore. They needed me gone to keep history buried, and now, with Thalen at my side, I finally understood what it meant to choose, to fight, to love. My reflection in the medic bay mirror didn't match the girl who once knelt beneath a slaver's boot. That girl was ash, scattered across fractured timelines and broken moons. The woman standing now had fire in her bones. Not because of revenge, because of choice. A reason to keep moving. Thalen upgraded Nerevia during the deep drift phase. We floated between galaxies, untouchable, cloaked beneath a quantum shroud. The hull pulsed with sentient awareness now, rebonded to both of our DNA strands. She listens to you, he said one night as we calibrated the solar rig. It means you've earned her trust, I laughed. Took me longer to earn hers than yours? His expression shifted, just enough for me to see pain ripple beneath the surface. I don't trust easily, he said quietly. But you never lied to me. I didn't know what to say. No one had ever cared if I lied. They expected it. built cages assuming I'd cheat them to survive. We reached a station orbiting the shattered planet of Varith Kale, a derelict mining world, destroyed centuries ago during the Meridian Uprising. The coordinates came from a recovered map buried in the encrypted Virinth Codex. According to it, beneath the ruins sat an archive, untouched by scavengers, hidden by a cloaking field known only to Virinth-blooded descendants, which meant me. I felt it before I saw it. As we descended into the atmosphere, my chest tightened like something ancient had just recognized me. Thalen piloted with precision. Nerevia threaded between tectonic cracks, weaving through charred towers and ruptured sky lanes. No signs of life. Just the echo of firestorms long dead. We landed at the foot of a colossal gate, obsidian, shaped like a spiraled eye. The moment I stepped forward, it opened. No scan. No code. Just me. Inside, light poured from crystalline pillars. Knowledge danced in holograms, languages that vibrated more than spoke. One phrase pulsed in the center, translated directly into my neural cortex. She who remembers will awaken. The path. I reached out, and memory struck like lightning, not mine. Visions flooded my skull, cities woven from sound, stars cradled in orbiting gardens, beings of light whose skin shimmered with entire constellations, and war. Fire raining. From binary suns, betrayal from within. The Virinth weren't gods, they were protectors. And someone they trusted had sold them out. I staggered. Thalen caught me before I collapsed. "What did you see?" he asked, voice hushed. I looked at him, shaking. They were betrayed, just like us. That archive changed everything. The Virinth weren't extinct, not fully. Their essence, encoded within the bloodlines of those sold as experiments by early coalition regimes, survived in fragments. Fragments like me, and the one who sold them out, his genetic signature matched. Someone still alive. Vornik, not just a slaver, not just my ex-bondholder. He was part of the genocide that shattered an empire older than any known star. And he knew. He knew what I was. He knew I might remember. He hadn't just tortured me out of malice. He was silencing the last witness of a cosmic betrayal. Thalen didn't speak for hours. He paced the observation chamber, eyes darting, mind-running simulations faster than any tactical AI could track. "He won't stop," he said finally. "You're the last lock on the Virinth archive. If he kills you, the knowledge dies forever." I took his hand. "Then we don't let him." He stared at our joined fingers. "We'll need help." The next leg of our journey took us to the forbidden ruins of Azkaron, a drifting fortress city trapped between collapsed wormholes. Once home to the Gravemind cult, it was now ghosted, haunted by rogue intelligences and security echoes that destroyed intruders on sight. But Thalen had a contact there. Someone he once trusted during the rebellion years, Erend Voss. She wasn't human, nor android. A hybrid forged in the storms of Sylvath Prime, half organic, half magnetic consciousness. Her body flickered like static when she moved, and her voice sounded like 3 chords playing in harmony. When she saw me, she narrowed her eyes. "You brought the memory," she said, not a question. Thalen nodded. "She's the last one." Erend touched my forehead. I felt her enter my mind like warm oil, slipping through memories, gently, carefully. Then she withdrew. "She's not ready." But she could be. I squared my shoulders. "Tell me what to do." She nodded once. "You'll need the Auralink. It was buried beneath the city of Ixara-Kel before the fall. Only those with unlocked ancestral memory can wield it. Will it help us stop Vornik?" Aaron's voice turned cold. "It will let you reclaim what he stole." Ixara-Kel was buried, under miles of crushed cities and lost time. We navigated by ghostlight, the psychic trail left by Virinth architects. Thalen never left my side, even when the path narrowed into skeletal walkways above black chasms. We reached the chamber after 7 hours. At the center sat a pedestal, and on it, the Auralink. It looked like a bracelet. Simple. Elegant. But when I touched it, it expanded. Threads of silver and violet wrapped around my wrist, syncing with my heartbeat. Knowledge hit me like a supernova. Not just facts, instincts. I could hear planetary rhythms, feel gravity flows. I knew how to bend light, how to shift energy around, my skin like armor. Thalen backed up, awe on his face. "You're glowing," he whispered. I smiled. I think I'm remembering who I was meant to be. We returned to Erend with the Auralink synced. She forged it into a combat lattice, liquid armor laced with bioconscious metal that moved with me like a second skin, and just in time. Because Vornik had arrived, he'd followed our trail through fractured space, tracking the quantum echoes left by my blood. He came in a warship called the Sovereign Blade, bristling with ancient weaponry and minescrapers. His voice blared through a broadcast channel. "Surrender the girl, Thalen. I'll let you live this time." Thalen smirked. "Come and take her." Twafter, battle above Ascaron was unlike anything I'd seen. Erend launched electromagnetic storms that ripped enemy drones from the sky. Thalen piloted Nerevia with lethal grace, weaving through attacks like a dancer. And me? I fought on the hull. No suit, no tether. Just me and the Auralink, wrapped in memory and fury. I leapt across shattered cruisers, redirecting plasma bolts, striking down clones bred to mimic me. Vornik sent wave after wave, and I tore through them. Then he came. He wore armor made of stolen Varanth relics. His eyes glowed with synthetic ambition. "You were supposed to be nothing," he snarled. "And yet here I am." We fought across debris fields and collapsing satellite rings. Sparks flew. The Auralink sang with power. "You can't kill me," he hissed. "I made you." "No," I said, voice calm. "I survived despite you." And with that, I drove the Auralink's core into his chest. His scream echoed into the void, his body shattered, and Vornik, the betrayer of gods, was gone. When it was over, I floated among the wreckage, heart pounding, hands trembling. Thalen's arms wrapped around me. "You did it," he whispered. I turned, pressing my forehead to his. We did. Later, in the rebuilt sanctuary orbiting the cradle moon of Selivar, I stood with him beneath a sky of falling stars. The Varanth were awakening, fragments scattered across galaxies now reconnected through the archive. We were not alone anymore. He looked at me then, eyes soft. "Do you still think you're broken?" I reached for his hand. "No, just reforged." His lips brushed mine, gentle, reverent. Not possession, not claim. Love, real, true, earned. I should have felt peace. Vornik was gone. His warship reduced to vapor. The last of his contracts burned. Across countless sectors, survivors rose from shadows, no longer hunted, no longer owned. The Varanth network, once dormant, now pulsed. With life. Activating sleeping knowledge, lighting the void like constellations reclaiming the dark. And yet, my chest ached. Because memory isn't a straight path, it's a spiral, and spirals always circle back. Thalen and I lived for a time aboard the sanctuary station orbiting Selivar, a silver crescent built on ancient Varanth geometry. Its walls weren't just walls, they were living memories. I could feel them hum when I walked the corridors. Sometimes I'd place my hand on a panel and stories would bloom under my fingers, tales of people long forgotten, lovers separated by collapsing stars, warriors who chose mercy. He once caught me standing at a stasis field where a Varanth mother had placed her child before going off to war. "You come here often," he said, leaning in the doorway. "She gave up everything," I murmured. "And no one even remembers her name." Thalen approached quietly. "You do. And that's enough." But it wasn't, because something deeper stirred beneath the archives, something neither of us had seen. It began with flickers, power interruptions, shifting shadows where none should be. One morning, Nerevia pulsed with alarm, intrusion detected, Layered timelines breached, external awareness converging. What does that mean? I asked, heart already racing. Thalen's eyes narrowed. Something's watching us from outside our plane. We rushed to the central memory bank. The moment we interfaced, I was thrown into a neural cascade. No ship, no station, only space. And in it, a voice. Soft, gentle, impossible. Daughter, I spun. A woman stood before me, her skin woven from stars, hair made of wind, eyes that held oceans I couldn't name. She was Virenth, but more, beyond form, beyond time. Who are you? I asked, trembling. She touched my heart. I am the first memory. I am the origin. You are my echo. Visions overwhelmed me. Experiments, displacement, centuries of silence. Her people hadn't been completely erased. They had fractured themselves across probability. One version survived in me. Another had waited and watched. You were never just a witness, she said. You were the key. To what? To the final seal. I awoke screaming. Thalen held me. You saw her. I nodded. She's not dead. None of them are. They're sleeping, but there's a lock, one I have to open. He didn't ask if I was sure. He just said, where do we go? The final coordinates lay within a void pocket, unreachable by normal engines. Only someone carrying the Auralink's full memory signature could anchor a vessel through that rift. Nerevia adjusted herself, shifting her structure to accommodate ancient Varanth navigation patterns. She pulsed under our feet, breathing like a heart about to leap into the unknown. As we slipped through the void, I could feel them, millions of minds, humming like a forgotten choir. Not dead, not alive, waiting. We landed in a field of glass, not the reflective kind. This glass held moments. I walked through frozen history, armies mid-charge, lovers mid-embrace, children mid-laughter, all trapped in stillness, suspended in time like tears caught in crystal. At the center stood a spire, dark, humming with entropy. That's the lock, I whispered. Thalen stepped closer. And you're the only one who can open it. I hesitated. What if it's worse? What if we unleash something we can't control? He brushed his thumb along my jaw. Then we face it, together. I placed my hand on the spire. Pain lanced through me, not just mine. Everyone's. All the memories I carried, all the lives absorbed by my lineage, the betrayals, the love, the war, the choice to sleep instead of burn, and then silence, not absence, stillness, a choice again. Do you remember who you are? I spoke without speaking. I am Seren, forged from ruin, remade by grace. I am flame, I am frost, I am Virenth, reborn. The spire cracked, light spilled out, the glass around us shattered, time screamed, and the world awoke. We returned to the ship, disoriented, but the sky had changed. Where once there had been dead stars, now they blinked with new coordinates. Gateways, arcs, structures reactivating across galaxies, stations long thought lost, now pulsed with welcome signals. Across the stars, descendants felt it. Awakening. Purpose. And one more thing. Invitation. Months passed in what felt like days. Sanctuary worlds bloomed. Formerly enslaved refugees took up roles as stewards of Virenth knowledge. Tech evolved, no longer for profit, but healing. Planetary restoration, memory cultivation. Thalen and I trained others, not to fight, but to remember. To choose. But one evening, beneath the floating gardens of Kunavir, he brought me to a quiet balcony. There's something I haven't told you, he said, eyes on the stars. My heart skipped. What is it? He held out a small pendant, transparent, with a single glowing filament inside. I found this after Vornik fell. A final message, coded only for you. I activated it. A hologram shimmered. But it wasn't Vornik. It was me. An older version, eyes sharper, body wounded, standing in the ruins of a battlefield we hadn't seen yet. If you're hearing this, the message began, then I failed. But you didn't. The cycle has to end. You must do what I couldn't. Let go. Don't try to fix everything. Don't become the spiral. Just live. The image flickered and vanished. I sank to my knees. Thailand held me close, letting me break apart again, only to rebuild. Not from rage, from peace. Years passed. We made a home, above the oceans of Alvarez, where sky whales sang and bioluminescent forests breathed in tune with the tides. I taught. I listened. I grew older. And one day, a child knocked on our door. Skin like fire-kissed bronze. Eyes like mine. I saw you in a dream, she said. You're the memory lady. I smiled. I was. She handed me a seed. My village said it's the last one. Can you help it grow? Thalen came to my side. I knelt with her, fingers in the soil. Yes, I said. Let's make something new. And so we did. Together. Not because we had to, but because we could. Because love isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of the life that comes after.